treating this as if it were a domestic terrorism incident. However, we don't know what may have motivated this.
Tonight, authorities are closing in on the person they believe set off an explosion at a Tesla charging station in Washington. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. That blast destroyed a Tesla power cabinet in Lacey, southwest of Tacoma. Fortunately, no one was hurt in that explosion. Tonight, we're getting a look now at new surveillance video showing the suspect in what investigators believe was an act of domestic terrorism. As Fox 13's Frankie Thompson reports tonight, authorities are worried this man may strike again.
This charging station in Lacey is fully repaired as of April 11th, according to Tesla. Now, federal agents are treating this investigation as domestic terrorism. And the FBI Seattle says it's looking for one person in particular that may have key evidence from this attack.
The hunt is on for this man, captured on surveillance video right before he allegedly attacked a Tesla Supercharger station in Lacey.
We don't have a lot of incidents like this in Lacey. It's pretty significant when we have this type of explosion occur, and it's very important that we apprehend the suspect and get him into custody and make sure there's no further incidents.
Investigators say the explosion was intentional, happening during the overnight hours of April 8th. Tesla says panels were blown off the power cabinet, damaging the electrical switchgear. Now, the ATF Seattle is working to find out what materials the suspect used to cause such destruction.
It's part of the investigation, and it's the reason why evidence was sent to the laboratory for a final determination to be made by the scientists at the laboratory and the investigators to make the causation of the fire, make the final determination on the causation of the fire and explosion.
Damages are now fully repaired and even have surveillance cameras installed in the shared parking lot. While eyes are on the station, FBI Seattle is also looking out for the suspect and his intent to determine if this was politically motivated.
I will say that we are treating this as if it were a domestic terrorism incident. However, we don't know what may have motivated this. That's part of their investigation, is looking into that. We do see some of the other elements that would be involved in terrorism, specifically violence and violation of a federal or state law.
It's not just the suspect the FBI and Lacey Police Department is looking for. Investigators say they also hope to find the owner of a Tesla that was parked at the station the day of the attack.
We're looking for a 2016 to 2019 Tesla Model X, gray to dark gray in color, that was spotted at the charging station prior to and during the arson incident. This vehicle is not believed to be involved in the incident, but will be a potential witness to the events that evening and could have important evidence.
While investigators say they aren't ruling out the possibility of an accomplice, their focus right now is this man, who may have a concussion, burns, or shrapnel injuries from the explosion. They say he must be found now before potentially striking again.
If it is a terroristic motivation, then we would expect somebody to potentially do this again. And in this case, it was property damage. What we would really hate to see is if somebody were injured or even killed in one of these incidents if it were to continue.
Right now, the ATF Seattle says there's no timeline of when we will learn the cause of the fire and explosion here, but we will follow up with a special agent in charge once those details from that part of the investigation becomes available. Reporting in Lacey, Frankie Thompson, Fox 13 News.
And we have an update tonight on the man suspected of setting two Teslas on fire in New Mexico. The Justice Department says 40-year-old Jamison Wagner may face up to 40 years in prison if convicted. He's accused of setting those fires at a Tesla dealership in Bernalillo, New Mexico, back in February. He's also accused of starting a fire and vandalizing New Mexico's GOP headquarters in Albuquerque last month. Wagner is now awaiting a detention hearing. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the deportation of immigrants in Colorado who are facing removal from the country under President Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act. The judge issued that emergency order last night to protect two Venezuelan men being held in Denver right now who are worried about being falsely accused of belonging to the gang Tren de Aragua. The order temporarily bars the removal of all non-citizens using the Alien Enemies Act. Just last week, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that anyone being deported under that act first deserves a court hearing. In San Francisco, city leaders, immigrants' rights groups, and union leaders all held a rally today outside City Hall to protest the IRS's decision to share information with immigration and customs enforcement officials. Previously, undocumented immigrants could pay taxes using an individual tax ID number without fear of having their information shared with ICE. But last week, an agreement between the IRS and ICE changed that. Today, San Francisco leaders reiterated their commitment to stand by previous city policies that protect taxpayer information.
Almost 10 years ago, Mayor Ed Lee introduced an ordinance that ensured that the city of San Francisco would not collaborate with ICE on sharing data. So we are introducing a resolution today to reaffirm that ordinance and say San Francisco continues to stand by its values of upholding civil liberties, civil rights.
Undocumented immigrants paid more than $66 billion in taxes in 2023. The Department of Homeland Security is defending its agreement with ICE, saying that information sharing is essential to identify who is living in the country. We're getting a better idea tonight of how Boeing factories in Washington state will be affected by President Trump's ongoing trade war. China's government has asked all Chinese air carriers to halt purchases of aircraft-related equipment from U.S. companies. Chinese airlines have dozens of aircraft on order from Boeing. Halting orders will likely raise maintenance costs for Chinese airlines. China's government is considering ways to provide assistance to those airlines. So far this year, 18 Boeing planes have been delivered to 9 different airlines in China. The Trump administration's tariff policies continue to evolve as it considers an exemption now for the auto industry. As Fox's Connor Hansen tells us, other possible changes include adding import tariffs on semiconductors and pharmaceuticals.
In another change to the White House tariff policy, President Trump says he's considering a temporary exemption for the auto industry.
I'm looking at something to help some of the car companies where they're switching to parts that were made in Canada, Mexico, and other places, and they need a little bit of time.
In March, the president announced 25% auto tariffs. And adding to the U.S. trade battle with China, tariffs on semiconductors could be coming soon, along with other electronics. Beijing has announced it will restrict the export of its rare earth minerals, critical to manufacturing a wide range of goods, including chips.
Chips are used in lots of different things, from cell phones to cars to appliances to consumer electronics. So that just means higher costs for those businesses, and they'll have to pass that through.
And American businesses are already reacting. The chip-making powerhouse NVIDIA has announced it will be making AI supercomputers in the U.S.
We're going to produce the cars, the ships, the chips, the airplanes, minerals, and medicines that we need right here in America.
But some Democrats argue the tariffs will hurt those industries.
When you tax those inputs, as Donald Trump is doing, you're not strengthening American manufacturing, you're weakening it.
The White House is also considering tariffs on pharmaceuticals, sparking fears of higher drug prices for Americans. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
And in the middle of all the uncertainty over the president's trade war, Wall Street had another down day. The Dow lost 155 points today. The Nasdaq dropped by 8 points. The S&P 500 gave up 9 points. California Governor Gavin Newsom hopes launching a new campaign will convince Canadian tourists to continue visiting the state, even during the Trump administration's ongoing trade war.
The Golden State and Canada have always shared so much in common. Sure, you know who's trying to stir things up back in D.C., but don't let that ruin your beach plans. California, it's the ultimate playground. 2,000 miles from Washington and a world away in mindset. From our iconic beaches and national parks to world-class wine, food, and outdoor adventure, there's something here for everyone. Last year, nearly 2 million...
Since President Trump took office, tourism from Canada has dramatically declined in California. In February alone, it was down 12% compared to February of last year. California hopes its new campaign, designed to appeal to Canadians, will keep visitors coming. The state estimates Canadian visitors pumped more than $3.5 billion into the state's economy last year. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, using the power of AI to create lifelike images of suspects here in the West. Tonight, how police are tapping into the technology to help solve crimes.
Well, the active weather was all about California today, not only the Bay Area, but also up in the mountains. But there's also concerns in southeast Arizona. We'll talk about all of it coming up.
People, and I've had so much fun.
Coming up tonight, young kids being exposed to the field of nursing and the experience leaving a lasting impression. We'll take you behind the scenes of a program getting first graders to start thinking about a future in healthcare. We have an update tonight on the deaths of actor Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa. A newly released report shows Arakawa was searching the internet for information on flu-like symptoms and breathing in the days before her death. Arakawa died in February of hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a rare rodent-borne disease. Hackman is believed to have died about a week later of heart disease with complications from Alzheimer's disease. Authorities are expected to release more police body camera footage from this investigation as the result of a recent court order. Artificial intelligence is allowing police departments to reimagine the composite sketch. Fox 10's Lauren Clark spoke with officers in Goodyear, Arizona about the lifelike images that AI is helping them create.
Well, it's really the lifelike nature of these photos that help generate leads and breathe life into something that's not just a two-dimensional sketch. And Goodyear police tell me that they are really receiving a lot of feedback about this technology from police departments across the country asking them about it. But they say the officer who found it kind of stumbled upon it by accident.
We want those eyes to be proportionate.
For public relations officer and forensic artist for Goodyear Police, Michael Bonacera,
Ears are typically in the same area.
the eureka moment came when he was experimenting with AI.
We were just playing around with the new update, and I'm like, what would happen if I put one of my drawings in there? Let's just see.
It looked great, nearly identical to the person he drew. Then he tried more.
Like every time, jaw dropping.
That's when he put 2 and 2 together. This could be used for suspect sketches. It starts with the victim describing a suspect to a forensic artist and a sketch being drawn. It's then put into an AI system for a more lifelike image. To show you how this can work, this is a sketch of me drawn by students at an Ironwood Elementary art class. Michael says he then works with his victim to get the details right. A process that once took hours now takes minutes.
It's now make him younger, make him older, make his eyes less blue.
For our photo, we were able to make this sketch look something like this. Compare that to the real photo the sketch is based on.
There's a joke about me putting forensic artists out of business. I am not, because then I would be putting myself out of a job. What this is doing is you still have to have some artistic ability. You have to go in there, you have to have the similarities, the likeness of that person.
Now Goodyear Police is hoping this technology will help generate more leads to crack cases and deliver justice to victims.
As humans, we're naturally wanting to see the image. We want to, a drawing is one thing, but when we see a real photo, now we're drawn to it.
Goodyear police say they can also use this type of technology for things like missing children and giving them a more updated look years later, as well as cold cases. Reporting here in Phoenix, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
Chandler, Arizona police detective was on the witness stand today in the murder conspiracy trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. The detective was responsible for gathering cell phone data to track her whereabouts in the moments after her husband was shot and killed by her brother in July of 2019. Daybell told investigators she left the home moments after the shooting and went to a Burger King and a Walgreens store. But the detective on the stand says the data suggests she left well before any 911 call was made. Southern California wildfire victims don't have a whole lot of time to beat a critical deadline. Today is the last day that victims can opt in for a free wildfire debris removal program. Those who don't opt in will need to hire private contractors at their own expense to remove debris. Commercial properties don't qualify for this program. Tonight, Fox's Sunny Sai spoke with people in the business community who say they are struggling to recover.
We closed up the store never thinking it was going to come into the town, and none of us ever came back after that, so we left with nothing.
Molly Rabishin has been working at Elise Walker for 18 years. The flagship for the clothing store was built in 1999. But on January 7th, the shop burned down.
I think the entrance was maybe here. It was heartbreaking because it's been sort of a staple of the Palisades, and for, over 20 years, we've had repeat clients, and it was like a family.
The store has 2 other branches in Southern California, and the team at Elise Walker is turning January's devastation into new opportunities.
It's making us get creative, so we're doing more pop-ups, also contributing to charity and with charity twists. So it's making us sell in a different way.
For others, the workload actually increased.
Getting properties, getting paperwork ready, getting permits, and then coming in, separating different types of debris from one another, loading it all up, hauling it all off, just over and over and over again.
Chuck Hart is a private contractor from the Palisades. He's been on scene since day 0 to rebuild his community.
It's literally been nonstop, before the sun's up till after the sun's down every day.
Hart already has 12 projects signed up and ready to rebuild.
And then we have a long list of people that say that they want to work with us.
He's like many other Palisadians who say they just want their community back the way it was.
Hopefully what's going to happen is everyone's going to come together and it's not going to look too different than it did before, because I'm not interested in some, high rise here, do this, that. No.
And that was Fox's Sunny Tsai reporting tonight from Southern California. The Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation expects business interruptions from the Palisades and the Eaton fires will cause more than $1 billion in lost sales revenue this year. All right, we shift now to talk about our weather here in the West. And elevated fire danger continues in some parts of Arizona tonight. Here's a live look. EarthCam images showing us Tucson in Pima County. The eastern end of Pima County is one of the areas under a fire weather watch for a second straight day. We told you about it last night here on the show. A much different scene in the Bay Area. Here's a live look at conditions over San Francisco, where we are seeing cooler temperatures making a comeback here after a stretch of some warmer weather. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Steve Paulson, who is tracking conditions across the West. Pretty busy, Steve.
No doubt about it, Alex, especially for April 15th here. For active weather, it's all about California here. Combination of low clouds, high mid-level clouds, and boom, thunderstorms up in the Sierra, even around Donner Summit. Now they die down at night. You can see all the activity popping up. They'll continue again tomorrow. So if you're going up 50 or 80, keep that in mind. And a big fog bank will be in place again tomorrow from this low right here. Kind of unusual for this time of year. Something we see September, October, really not so much in April, but it does happen. But it's tapped into some pretty good moisture. Still really toasty down into Arizona today, 90s again. They did get some cloud cover. It's just too early for the monsoon. And that kind of a pattern really doesn't do much here. Critical fire concerns. Tucson area going through Wednesday and Thursday. Combination of hot temperatures, just terribly dry. Had no winter at all and a terrible monsoon last year. And you combine that with a strong southwest wind. Some cloud cover did make it, but really it just made for a nice sunrise and also sunset. And that's clearing out for right now. 94 today in Phoenix again. I do have some good news, though, if you're in Phoenix and also Tucson, but not for a couple days. I'll show you that in a second. Southern California, 66 down in Los Angeles. And for the Bay Area, it was unseasonably cool, windy. We had a combination of big fog bank and then some high mid-level clouds. The city did manage to make it to 61 and a beautiful 66 in Seattle. A few high clouds skirting by, but I think they'll be out of there by tonight, and then tomorrow looks great. Some of your forecast highs for tomorrow, again, another 94 down into Tucson, Phoenix, 87 in Las Vegas, and 70 in San Jose. They were that today as well. Still on the cool side for Southern California. Palm Springs, 88, not too bad. You can see that cloud deck, high cloud deck moving through the Pacific Northwest. They're almost on the backside of that in Seattle. That low, though, will eject towards the northeast. That'll keep a lot of cloud cover. California, Central California, also up into the Sierra, another day of thunderstorms. But there is change on the way here. Here's your forecast for tomorrow. Sunshine in the Pacific Northwest, a lot of cloud cover, maybe some isolated thunderstorms again, and mostly sunny and hot down in the desert Southwest and also into towards Denver. But watch what happens here on the next couple of days. Now that's the low. It'll eject out of here on about Thursday and then start to kick out. So your forecast, take a look at Denver and Phoenix, Tucson. By the time we get to Friday, 35 and 78 cool degrees.
All right, Steve, thank you. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a hands-on nursing experience in the classroom. And we're not talking about nursing school. Tonight, how some first graders here in the West are getting a jump start on what could turn into a career.
Don't know which job to choose.
If we get even one student who remembers this and goes on to be a nurse, then we've done a great service to the community.
A hospital in Utah is proving it's never too early to get young students thinking about their future. Fox 13's John Franke has more tonight on how the facility is showing first graders what it means to be a nurse.
It may be spring break, but school is in session here at Galen College of Nursing. I'm John Franke in Draper, and these first graders are learning all about what it means to be a nurse.
Find your seat. Find a chair.
Kids love to daydream.
I also want to be an animator.
It's a complex arm, isn't it?
And I don't know which job to choose.
There you go.
Our friend Kyle is no exception.
What happened to your teddy bear? I see a Band-Aid, I see a cast.
Well, he fell from a tree and broke his arm.
Hello, come find a seat.
He's one of dozens of students using his imagination in some hands-on workshop.
Is it pretty important what nurses do to help people when they break an arm or break a leg or get hurt?
Yeah, it's important. I've also seen you on TV before.
Good job. And how do we burp them?
This 7-year-old, who clearly has the best taste when it comes to local news.
If you have to do TV stuff or nursing, what would you pick?
Nursing.
How come?
Because I want to be a nurse when I grow up.
Already realizes the importance of what it means to take care of those in need.
We get to inspire future healthcare people.
Melinda Patterson is the chief nursing officer at Lone Peak Hospital. She spent time with these kids to deliver a message about the profession that's so dear to her heart.
We always need nurses and we need other allied health professionals.
A recent study by the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects the demand for nurses will increase by 6% over the next 10 years.
If we get even one student who remembers this and goes on to be a nurse, then we've done a great service to the community.
That's why this isn't a typical field trip. What are you learning about nursing?
Helping babies.
Why do you want to help babies?
Take care of them.
What's been the most fun thing so far today?
Taking care of babies.
What's been the most fun thing so far today?
About putting the diaper on.
These kids are learning about a life-changing career.
I think it's fun to see their eyes light up and to feel empowered. I think they feel like it's giving them hope for their future.
It's a message Kyle won't forget.
They help people, and I've had so much fun.
And Galen College Nursing will graduate its first cohort of nurses this summer with roughly 20 graduates. In Draper, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
What a great experience for those kids. Finally, tonight, we have a better idea of what to expect from the 2028 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Today, the Planning Committee unveiled its most comprehensive venue plan to date. The Intuit Dome will be hosting basketball games. Swimmers will race at SoFi Stadium. Crypto.com Arena downtown is going to host gymnastics. Track and field is going to take over the Los Angeles Coliseum. And sporting events are spread out all over Southern California. In fact, some equestrian competitions will take athletes as far away as Temecula in Riverside County. 2028 will be here before we know it. Have a great night.